Welcome to the SK1 show. Welcome to SK1 News. Welcome to SK1 News YouTube channel. Alright, y'all, so this will be episode 5 on the SK1 News. I'm only bringing it like this because I'm going to bring it on all 3 of my, source of channels. Okay. So, I got a lot of things going on right now. I'm trying to get a lot of things situated. That's why y'all don't see me on video right now. It's been a hectic little time going on. So, today's show will be in honor of my lovely wife, Lord. Rest her soul. She was taken from me on July the 12th. Not by anything but cancer. I will get into that as I go on with this show today. But I also will tell y'all a little about history. It was June 7th of 2006 when I entered back to my workplace of a birthday weekend vacation. I always come back on a Wednesday. I met Jamala on a Wednesday on that 7th. And on that day, I greet myself, but I never got a chance to say my name. She, matter of fact, before I could greet myself, she greeted herself, but how she greeted herself was just something different. I never would expect this kind of greet to come out of anywhere. She said to me, I bet you don't know how I know you. What you talking about? Ha. She said, your name must be Stephen Fleet. She said, yeah. She said, I knew you before I met you. You knew me before you met. How that work? How does that work? And she explained. She said she worked with my Uncle Jerry and my Aunt Cheryl at the Renaissance Hotel one of the hotels that I was supposed to be working at back in 2003. My uncle gave me an application to fill out. I filled the application out, but I applied for the wrong job. And yes, I never got a chance to make it down there. And I think his part was for the banquet. So when I get there, I say, oh man. So I wound up getting a job out Social Security in 2004. And I soon to meet the love of my life in 2006. So from there, after the greet, she said how my name is Jamala. She said, she said, yeah, she said my name is Jamala. And I said Jamala. She said, yeah, like Jamal, but it's just an A at the end. And I was like, oh. I said, okay, that's how you say your name. And I said, oh, it's no I guess I can't, introduce my name. You already know it. So from there, we found out that we live around the corner from each other. Lord, this week and night was just getting crazier. Like, yo, she lived around the corner from me. So let me tell you how that went. So we would catch the bus home from work, and my stop was Woodington, because I lived on Woodington. I lived in Wildwood Gardens apartment. But her stop was Woodington and Rokeby. So she get off the bus. I said, where you live? Like, she was like, I live on Rokeby. I said, all right, I just walk you home out, I feel right letting you walk to your house by yourself. She was like, okay. So from that part, we would just do this every day, y'all. We would just come, get off, and I would just walk her to our house. And then I'll walk home. And then we did this for a little while. She also shot a shot, And I knew when I got on that elevator with her, man, she just kept giving me this look, and I was just looking like, what in the world? And I was giving her a look too, you know what I mean? Pretty girl, you know what I mean? But, yeah. Anyway, as the month go on, I remember walking her home one particular night, and this was in the month of July. It was a Friday night, July 7th. And I needed to know where me and her stand at, because we exchanged phone numbers, we on the phone, we talking, I'm walking her home, and I just needed to know what's up, you know what I'm saying? Because now we in a rhythm of vibing and connecting and all this other stuff. And she said, yeah, she just want to try the relationship. And I said, it's good you say that, because you know what I'm saying, I want to start a family life, you know what I'm saying, and we can do this together. And she was like, okay. I said, okay. So I said, oh, so we together? She said, yeah. She was like, all right, and from there, it was me and Jamala, and it wasn't always as good as it ended. Well, yeah, it wasn't always good. We had problems in between, I remember when she first cheated on me, and I had Neo in my CD player, and Neo was talking to me. you know, and it was like, you know, the song was like, sit up here all night thinking about you, and you know, knowing it ain't right thinking about you, and you know, I just can't let go. You know what I'm saying? At first it was sick of love songs because I was broken hearted, but you know, the let go song was just like, with, you know, world, like, you know, and I must have played that song like crazy, you know, and we only split for a second, and then we got back together. You know, it must have been something about it because, you know, the potential was already there at the beginning. She was definitely a potential. And how I see it, every time I gain a potential, you know what I'm saying, I automatically feel and sense how things can go. You know, it's just sometimes, you know, it could be scary too. You know what I'm saying? And that fact was, you know, I realized we move fast. And that taught me to not ever move fast with nobody ever again. You know what I'm saying? Because I really liked Jamala, you know what I mean? And it shows, and I could tell she liked me, but you know, she just didn't know exactly whether, you know, if it was real love with me, or you know, I'm just one of them other dudes and da da da, you know. And I get it, you know. I mean, you know, people could treat people cruel, you know what I'm saying? And I've been heartbroken before her, you know, so I know how I feel to have a broken heart, you know. And my intentions was not to hurt her. My intentions was to do just what I say, grow a family with her. But you know, I'm just looking at it on my end and never can understand it on her end. No excuse for her going out doing what she done. It's just a simple fact that, you know, it was some understandings that needed to come in place. And then we got back together. Then she turned around and some dude picked her up from work. Yeah, boy, I wasn't no more, y'all. I said, man, look, I can't, look. I don't know why I keep giving this girl a chance, yo. I don't know why I just keep doing this, man. I said, man, I'm tired of this, like, yo, you know. And it was just something about her, man, you know. I mean, like, you know, because if it was anybody else that done that to me, they would have been cut off, you know. And I just don't be allowing stuff like that to go down and happen, you know. So all of that stuff, you know, occurred. We had a lot of breakups within the 8 years before we got married. We had a lot of breakups since 2012. I realized she wasn't stepping up as much as she should. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of stuff happening. And I was entering the age of 30. And I didn't want to continue on or possibly missing out on anything that could be for me. And I didn't want to be held back, you know, trying to still figure this out for 8 years of, you know, back and forth and stuff like that. I'm not going to say within the 8 years, me and her haven't had no great times where as though we enjoy being with each other and she's being my, you know, my girlfriend, you know, but I wanted more, you know what I'm saying? And I had to put my foot down. And once I put my foot down and I met this girl named Naomi, I thought Naomi was going to be the one, but she wasn't. And a lot of things that happened between me and Naomi was just, I never understood that one either, but we were gonna start this whole thing together, and it just didn't work. So once it didn't work, I had some other women, but like I said, I'm not going to name too many women in this episode because it's all about Jamala. Only reason why I named Naomi because Naomi was like one of the last ones that I was really with that helped me make the decision on continuing to find who I want to be with, and it wasn't her. And Jamala wound up calling me within a month of end of August, early September, to come and, stay with her. It's like a little shock with that one, but, because her mother was getting knee surgery on both her knees, I think, and she didn't want to be home alone. And she knew to call me because she knew I wasn't going to leave her home alone, even though, my ways and my whole thoughts and stubbornness, kind of like had me asking questions and stuff like that. But this how I know that God brought me and Jamala together, because I just look at the situation. I could have been married to Naomi and things wouldn't have worked. I would have been in a marriage that wouldn't work because, I would have thought it would have worked, but me and Naomi didn't have that kind of connection. It was some kind of other connection, and no telling what's what. We just split. We never broke up. We just split, but I ain't waiting on nobody that, ain't got their situated their stuff together, And, for 3 months, Jamala kidnapped me, and, we got it together. September 28th, we reconnect our relationship. And from there, July 18, 2014, me and Jamala became as one. So I say this to say that there are people that are placed in your life for a reason. We would never understand that, but they are there, and I would give y'all the full detail on everything, but moments are moments. I'll see y'all when I come back. it was only, years later of happiness, in between time happiness, you know what I mean? We would have our disagreements, but it wasn't nothing more to even speak on, and we didn't allow people in our business, and anything we had to fix, we always fixed before we left out the door and before we went to bed, and we managed. We would go everywhere together. We would hit every market, every store. We would travel together. We did this about most together. We had our favorite shows we would watch together. I'm going to tell y'all, Jamala had me to be a homebody. I never was a homebody before I met her. And not only that, Jamala helped me want to bring the TV. I knew that was something she loved to do, as this was something I didn't love to do. So I had to figure out a way of joining and tuning in with her with TV. And I did. I would find a show and I'll let her know about the show. I probably got about past 5 episodes before she got to it, and I'll be like, no, I could rewatch it over. And she used to like when I find the shows. She would sit down with me and she would watch the shows that I find, and she'd get right into it. She loved the shows. I would watch some of her shows. Now, there was some stuff that me and her didn't, watch that each other watched. But eventually we came together and watched it, but it wasn't like all the time, but we came together and watched it. And, we found a way of having our time. When the pandemic hit, it was more shows then, because I would leave her in the room and watch her soap operas, and she would stay in the room all the way up until her soap operas. I had the living room, and I would just be on YouTube a lot. And sometimes she come out there and join me on YouTube. And, we just done everything together. Like, it wasn't nothing that we didn't do together. Until one day, 2021, it was the ending of August, going towards September. She yelled loud, "Bae, I feel something right here. Feel this. Feel this." She never about scared me. I was doing payroll that day, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's hard right there. She was like, yeah, I don't know what's this in my breast. And I was just like, I don't know, but we don't want to think nothing, the words. And she was like, yeah, I know. I don't want to think of that. I said, maybe, it's something, let's not look at it what we think it could be. And she called her best friend, Barbara. And Barbara came down and, she felt similar. And we then went to St. Agnes. And that's when we discovered it was a mess there. So, I said, I still stay positive. I said, and not think about the worst. They said a mess, it can just be just that. And, it could be cancerous. It may not be cancerous. And let's pray that it's not cancer. And let's just pray it's just what it is, a mess. Some tumors don't always gotta be cancer tumors. And she said, okay. And she went to get a mammogram. And that's when they found out that she had breast cancer. And she got the biopsy, and they found out what kind of cancer it was in the stage. It's triple negative, stage 4. Stage 2B cancer. And I remember when that doctor called her and said that's what it was after the biopsy. And before we even knew that, I broke down then to tell the doctor, said, no, it's treatable. It's treatable, and I had to relieve, and she had to relieve. And we went through chemo. She, beat the cancer through chemo. She had to get surgery on her breast, so they took part of that out. I wonder if they would have just took the whole breast off, but I don't know. I don't know how that goes. And then she went through radiation. And then she went through radiation, and then they had to give her another different kind of therapy treatment that's supposed to have the cancer not to come back in the breast. And then she was taking chemo pills. She run the bell with radiation, and her whole 2023 year, she was doing good. You know what I mean? And nobody knew that that cancer escaped her breast and went down to her liver. So 2024, we discovered pains in her stomach, and she thought it was a stomach ache. And it wasn't no stomach ache. It was a painful stomach ache. We go back to St. Agnes, and that's when we discovered that she had cancer tumors in her liver that took the bulk of her liver. And that doctor even said herself, is in danger. And we said we're not gonna claim that. I must have went home that night and I cried. She didn't know I cried, but I cried at the hearing that doctor say that. Because this is something different. This is your liver she talking about. And then we went to see our treatment doctor, and her treatment doctor said it could be treated as long as it's not triple negative. And we was praying that it wasn't triple negative. We was praying that it was something else that could be treated. And we did the biopsy again, and that's when we found out it was triple negative, stage 3 to stage 4. When we found that out, I must have broke again. And how many times I broke, she told me she was gonna be okay. And she been telling me she was gonna be okay since, that occurred. And it's been like that up until her last months of, being here on this earth. Stress but took her out though. Towards the end, she started declining because she was stressing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm watching my wife decline in front of me. And it hurt. And it hurt deep. But I remember she tell me she's gonna be okay. She didn't want me to be down here, not living my life. And she wanted me to live my life. And she said she do want me to find somebody and remarry again because she still want me to live my life and be happy. And we had them talks. Them talks I didn't want to hear. I couldn't hear them talks. I didn't want to hear them talks. But I had to face reality. And she prepped me for all of this. So I say that to say this. Always And I'm talking to the men. Always stick by your wife. Cause I took them vows serious. As you should. As you should. You know what I'm saying? If you take them vows serious, your wife will take you serious. And she won't leave you down here in the darkness of grieving bed. At least you'll have some kind of relief of grieving. It's a reason why I'm sharing this message. My wife couldn't share it. And to all the women that's going through cancer, breast cancer, Jamala was a fighter and she fought hard. Towards the end, she fought hard. And that she could fight, you could fight. You can win. When the doctor say you clear, please go back and get yourself checked again. Because that's necessary don't mean that you clear. We learned that. When people say the cancer came back, no, it never left. Can't say cancer came back when it never left. It just get real aggressive because it's still there in your body. So please, for anyone that's listening to this podcast today, please take care of yourself. Because cancer is a bitch. Real talk. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to say this to all. My wife, she went out in happiness. And that's real. So on that note, I'll check y'all when I come back. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell y'all my next moves as I close this book. Love you, Jamala. Welcome back to the SK1 show, SK1 News Show, SK1 YouTube channel. So alright, y'all. I'm gonna redo the merge thing over again. And this time gonna be a lot different. I'm only doing what Jamala asked me to do. And I've been thinking over weeks, as tough times they go, you know, one day at a time. That's all we on. We on a one day at a time thing. And it's still one day at a time. You know, it will be like that. Grieving, hurt feelings and stuff like that are all involved in my pain and my feelings. My spirit is a different kind of spirit nobody will understand though. And as I speak this, I'm entering a new book of my life, as Jamala wanted me to do, as far as living it. Before I go into talking that, I'm going to go into something that she really want me to do, and that's get back into the studio. I'm coming out of retirement for a little temporarily time. I will know when I'm ready to retire again, but right now I'm coming out of retirement. And I will be happy to share my pain, because I am a hip-hop artist that love to share a message. That's why I started a podcast show. And I got a lot of pain to relieve on this next project that I do on my own record label, making it happen. Been independent since 2014 with a platform where I can relieve my music. And I only built this for Germany and Jamala. I'm just in words to say this. However, whenever things get to where as though we live through these days, we all must take care of ourselves. So, Nelly, I hope you ready. Well, I know you ready, cause it's time to kick this production thing off right. And it's time to bring L Show to life. Hey, Kim, big up to you. You know what I'm saying? Day by day ain't had a light on it in a while. You know what I'm saying? And this production need another news show. Now SK1 News, it need another news show. And day by day is the most show of them all. You know what I'm saying? We started this, so I am willing to bring day by day back in 2025. Resume day by day with a whole new light of it. With a whole new light of it. I'm ready to put together a lot of stuff and build this brand the way that this brand should have been built. I'm not gonna stop because Jamala told me don't stop. I'm not going to do anything that Jamala didn't want me to do. And it's all in the honor of you. Just what this whole podcast was about, you. And I'm going to respect each and every wish that you will want me to do. I'm back. So when it comes to me re-entering the dating world, I don't want to be in it long. So I'm looking for my person again. And this time, I will have my peoples behind me. And they get to pick. So, we gonna do this right. And to next time when I come back and rebring this episode, it will be a part 2, and I share what's my next chapter will be. But until then, tune in, because this right here is beyond news right now. This right here is beyond anything right now. This right here is gonna be something real. And this right here, I'm gonna make sure whatever y'all get out of this brand is gonna be something for y'all. Big up to all the support that I got out of there. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate and love all of y'all. I appreciate the text messages. I appreciate the calls. I appreciate y'all just, reaching out to me and just checking on me. You know what I'm saying? That's all love. And if it wasn't for certain people I've been talking to every day, talking to them in the morning time, you know what I'm saying, checking in on me, I don't know where I'll be at. I talk to Jamala every day though, and I love talking to her. So when I do talk to her, y'all know I'm gonna get a little emotional and crying and stuff like that, but it's only because I miss her. So I'm 80% back to myself. Yes. And that's to help dude God himself, Jamala, and my spirit. Thank y'all for bringing me back. Me in my 40s as the new person I am. And I once again appreciate y'all more, because why? This is something we do. So on that note, it's time to get back to the lab. It's time to mix up these beats. It's time to take it like we did it when we did it with Live in Iraq. And it's time to bring my team back. And it's time to do this because, man, it's beyond everything. And I got a story to tell. And this time, I can push my music out when I feel like pushing it out. I didn't have that luxury back when I had Live in Iraq. I could push my music when I'm ready to push it. I can get it published when I'm ready to get it published. Distribute it when I'm ready to get it distributed. Release it when I'm ready to release it. And I'm so happy I can do all of that now. Paran, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. And to anybody that want to be down with the production team, just let me know. Just let me know right then and there. I got y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because as of 2026, I'm gonna take you all the way back to 1996. No, in a new way though. In a new way. That's when I started my mission. You know what I'm saying? That's when I started my mission of this music game. A little before 96, 94, 95, 96, but 96, was when I really wanted it more. 95 is when I just, was just like starting off. Well, technically 94 was like when I kind of like started off. 95 I was just trying to fill it out, hitting beats on tables and stuff like that. But 96 made me want it more because the music was so good back then, and I wanted it more. So almost 30 years later, I'm ready. And I'll be back to talk to y'all about that again. I'm getting ready to end this because, boy, this is the old way of doing, and yes, y'all will hear noise on this. I don't know why, but I'm out my business. Until then, till the next show, SK1, I'm out.